Okay, so this video is the answer key essentially to the qualitative and quantitative probability DIY number 2, which was basically a slide presentation where you solved each of the problems and were supposed to write the problems, all your information, and especially if you had trouble, what you at least did know. Now make sure that you take notes of the things you learned in the video. Remember, you can pause, rewind, fast forward at any time. So here we go. Let's start with number 1. Rose randomly selects a tile from the container. This was the container that you were given. Which statement is true? She is most likely to select an A. Now, that keyword right there, most likely, you're going to want to underline, circle, highlight, whatever you do. She is most likely to select a B. She is most likely to select a C. Or she is equally likely to draw an A or a C. Well, let's start with, what do we know? We know there are 15 tiles total. So if you counted them up, you should know there are 15. There are 2 T's, 3 A's, 1 P, 3 C's, 2 L's, 1 V, 2 M's, 1 E, and that's it. So that gives us our 15 tiles that we have. So now that we know, all right, there's 15 total, we know how many of each, let's put the probabilities for each one. To select an A, well, and you go in here and you count your A's, or if you listed them out, there are 3 A's out of 15 total, so 3/15ths. Now, why I could simplify that, since I'm going to have to make some comparisons, I'm going to leave it so I have my common denominator. B's, well, how many B's are there? There aren't any B's. So 0 after 15. Let's see for C's. Well, there are 3 C's. Now let's look. Can the C's be most likely if there are also 3 A's? No. It can't be the most if there's 2 that are the same. So then let's look at D. She is equally likely to get an A or a C. Well, there are 3 out of 15 A's and 3 out of 15 C's? Yes, it is equally likely to get an A or a C. So the correct answer for this one was D. Hopefully you got it right. Let's move on. Remember, pause, rewind, anytime you need. Rosie is about to spin a spinner. Which statement is true? All right, she is more likely to spin a 3 than a 5. She is more likely to spin a 2 than a 4. She is less likely to spin an odd than an even. She is equally likely to spin an even or an odd. So it kind of changed it up a little bit there. Let's see what we know. We know there's a total of 5 sections. 1 section per number, so there's no double numbers. The even numbers are 2, 4, and 6. The odd numbers are 3 and 5. So let's see what we got. She is more likely to spin a 3 than a 5. Well, there's 1 3 and 1 5, so it's 1/5 compared to 1/5. Now, 1/5 cannot be more than 1/5 because they are equal. That's no good. She is more likely to spin a 2 than a 4. Once again, a 2 is 1/5, a 4 is 1/5. Can't be more. She is less likely to spin an odd than an even. Well, how many numbers were odd? 3 and 5 are odd out of the 5 total. So that's 2 out of 5 are odd. And even, 2, 4, and 6 are evens. So 3 out of 5 are even. So is it less likely to spin an odd than an even? Is 2/5 less than 3/5? Yes, this one looks good. Let's keep going though. She is equally likely to spin an even or an odd. Well, are 3/5 and 2/5 even? No, but 2/5 is less than 3/5. The correct answer to this problem is C. How'd you do? All right, let's move on to the third and final one. Oh, this problem. I know many of you got there and was like, oh, I'm not sure. Or others of you were like, oh, I got this, let's rock it. So let's see how you did. A game at a school fair requires a player to pick, without looking, a colored rubber frog from the bag. Excuse me. The bag contains the following: 8 blue frogs, 4 yellow frogs, 6 purple frogs, 2 red frogs. Which statement is a true quantitative comparison of the frogs? So quantitative means we're going to use a quantity, which means we're going to use a number. So it is 1/4 as likely to draw a yellow frog than a blue frog. So important here is as likely and then than. Now as I kind of scan over these, all of these are going to use the same terms. As likely and than. Okay, so let's see what we do know. You know a lot more than you think. There are a total of 20 frogs. Everyone should have figured that out to start with. If you didn't, start thinking about what you know. There's more that you know than you think. The probability of each frog. Now, this is something you should have already done, because this is something you could have done even if the fractions confused you. You could have known that the yellow frogs, there are 4 out of 20, and the blue frogs, there are 8 out of 20. The purple frogs are 6 out of 20, and then 8 out of 20. The blue frogs are again 8 out of 20, and the red are 2 out of 20. And the purple and yellow, purple is 6 out of 20, yellow is 4 out of 20. So now we have each of these. So at all else fails, you should have been able to determine there were 20 total and the probability of each frog here. Now at this point you see, oh, this says 1/4. This says 3/4. This says 1/4. This says 3/4. Okay, I know I learned how to do that, but what am I forgetting? So let's break down each one. It is 1/4 as likely to draw a yellow frog than a blue frog. So what's that really saying? If I divided this blue frogs into 4 groups, a yellow would be one of those 4 groups. So if I take my blue frogs, which is 8/20, and divided it into 4 groups, I would have 2/20, 2/20, 2/20, and 2/20. So that is 4 groups of 2/20, which total is 8/20. So one of those 4 groups would be 2/20. Is 1/20 the same as 2/20? No, it's not. A is incorrect. Now B still wants me to divide it into fourths, but this time it is 3 of the fourths. So 8/20 again, I will divide into 4 sections, which once again gives me 2/20. But this time I need 3 of the 4 sections. So 2/20, 2/20, 2/20. Well, when I add those, that's a total of 6/20. Ooh, I like it. This looks good. It's looking good. But never pick the first one you see. Always read in case you made a mistake. Again, 1/4. So I need to divide 2 into 4 groups. Well, that's not an even number. So each of the 4 groups has a half or 5/10. And I need one of those. So I'm going to take my circle and circle just one of them. Yeah, no, that didn't work out so well. So let's go to D. 3 of the 4 groups. So 4/20. If I divide that into 4 groups, what am I going to get? 1/20, 1/20, 1/20, 1/20. Well, 3 of those 4 groups, so I need to take and circle 3 of them. Well, 1/20 plus 1/20, well, that's 2/20, plus another 20th is 3/20. Uh-oh, this says 6/20. Not the same answer. So the correct answer is B. It is 3/4 as likely to draw a purple frog than a blue frog. Remember, I divided my blue frog into fourths. 2/20 plus 2/20 plus 2/20 plus 2/20, 8/20. and I needed 3 of those groups. 2 20ths plus 2 20ths is 4 20ths, plus another 2 20ths is 6 20ths. Yes, B is correct. Now this is one of those longer problems, so if you need to rewind or pause, do so. You want to make sure you really understand this one. Awesome.